Good morning, students. I am Sudeshna ma'am. I am your psychology teacher from DPS Vasundhara. Today we'll be studying chapter 2, Self and Personality. Good. I see that most of you have completed your work, the assignments that I gave you, and I'm really happy that you're taking full maximum utilization of your work learn from home days to ensure that your learning is happening continuously, and also it is happening at a very beautiful, in a new methodology, new technique, all together. Okay, so children, so far we have been till the time you were coming to school, we finished the first chapter and we had to start with the second chapter. Now in the second chapter is self and personality. Some of the concepts of self we have already discussed in the class, and that work is also complete by most of you. I have seen that. Then comes personality. We started with defining personality and understanding the basics of personality. Then we move on to understanding that there are basic different types of schools of thought which talk about personality in a different manner. First one that we discussed was the type approaches, where different types of personalities are being understood, although that was not very scientific in nature. So we proceeded next to the trait approach. Now what does the trait approach say? Trait approach says that personality has certain building blocks or primary characteristics, or something that we call as the consistent pattern across the period of time. Now those are the traits. Now 2-3 people have worked very religiously in this domain, and one is Gordon Allport, who is a very famous psychologist, and he said that trait, in order to understand the trait, what he did was he studied a lot of people, and then he realized that there are basically 3 types of traits that we need to understand. First one is the central trait, or very predominant characteristics of a person's personality. For example, we talk about Mahatma Gandhi. The moment we say Mahatma Gandhi, what is it that comes to your mind? Non-violence or Quit India movement. So this aspect of non-violence was evident in his every behavior. In every aspect of his personality, this non-violence was seen. So that is his cardinal trait. Now next comes certain people, like being friendly, being warm, sincere. These are certain behaviors or certain natures that are there in people that you come across, but depending on situation, this can change. This is like a central trait. And the third aspect is called the secondary trait, or just a preference. Suppose you prefer eating chocolate ice cream or vanilla ice cream. That is the secondary trait, or that is the secondary aspect where you show preference for one and not for the other. And he also said that the trait integrates with stimulus and response. See, whenever there is a stimulus in the environment, we tend to respond. So the trait says that your response is going to be in sync with your trait. You will behave in the manner in which your personality trait is there, but 2 people with similar trait may not behave similarly. For example, I may be very energetic, and similarly another person may be very energetic, but both of us in a party may not always dance, may not always be very friendly. So it will depend on person to person how 2 people with similar trait are going to respond. I hope this portion given by Gordon Allport is very clear. Now we move on to Raymond Cattell. Now you've heard this before also. In the chapter of intelligence, we talked about Cattell's test of intelligence. Yes. So what does Cattell talk about? Cattell says that, what he basically did, he took out all the words that were sounding similar, And then he found out what is the opposite of each of those words. For example, behavioral traits like reserved. What is the opposite of reserved? Outgoing. What is the opposite of submissive? Dominant. So he created 16 such terminologies which had an opposite term, and he found out that certain traits we inherit, and those are those source traits that are basically very, very core to us. And then there are certain surface traits which, on the basis of interaction with our people, by learning from the environment, we pick up those traits. So the two traits are source traits and surface traits, according to Cattell. And Cattell gave a very, very popular test of personality. It is called the 16PF, where all the traits which a person shows in behavior are written in the form of a 8-point rating scale, where the person on his own rates himself or herself to see where does the person lies, and on the basis of that later all the scoring and interpretation is done. I hope you are very clear with what we have done in trait approach, that is the work of Gordon Allport and the work of Raymond Cattell. Now these two are the trait theorists that we had to understand first. Now the next trait theorists, not just these two, there are many more trait theorists. The next trait psychologist that we need to study is Eysenck. Now Eysenck was a very we have a test of Eysenck in our psychology lab also, and you will be doing this test for understanding. Eysenck's main idea is that there are 3 domains on which a person works. One is neuroticism, the other is emotional stability, which means few people are very anxious, moody, touchy, restless, and few people are emotionally stable. Next domain is introversion and extroversion. Who are extrovert people? Thrill seeking, active, socially outgoing. And who are the introverts one? Quiet, passive, withdrawn. And the third term that he explained was psychoticism and sociability. According to him, people who are extremely hostile, antisocial, those are psychotic people. Now, understanding these three domains, he created a questionnaire called the EPQ, or the Eysenck Personality Questionnaire. On the basis of scoring and interpretation, we are able to find out 3 aspects of a person's personality. That is, whether the person is extrovert or introvert, neurotic or emotionally stable, or psychotic or sociable, whether the person is psychotic or sociable. Now this completes the Eysenck's theory. Next we move on to a very famous theory called the ocean theory, OCEAN, given by 2 people, Costa and Cray. Now these 2 people, as the terms, it is also called the big 5-factor model or the 5-factor theory. As the term says, OCEAN. Now 5 aspects have been explained, and those 5 aspects are: O for openness, C for consciences, E for extroversion, A for agreeableness, and N for neuroticism. Now let us understand these domains. What are they? Openness to experience means somebody who is very curious, open to new ideas, and in contrast would be somebody who is very rigid. Introversion, extroversion, I just explained to you. Agreeable is somebody who is very helpful, cooperative, friendly, caring, and opposite to that are people who are hostile, self-centered, not open to any kind of new idea. Then comes neurotic people. Neurotic people are emotionally, those who are not emotionally stable. Otherwise, most of the people are well adjusted. Neurotic would be, see, you and I can also be neurotic. Like, we have anxieties, we have fears, we have irritations. So these are neurotic symptoms, and others are absolutely well adjusted. Now this comes in the quantinum. Quantinum means uh, well adjusted and neuroticism cannot be demarcated, but it's a gradual shift where sometimes we become well adjusted, sometimes our tendencies are a little neurotic. Next comes consciences. Now consciences means people who are um, the ones who have little settledness in them. Now they have need for achievement, they are dependable, they are responsible, hardworking, and opposite to them are people who are very impulsive in nature. So this is the big 5 factor theory, or the big 5 factor model. Children, I have also given you certain web links. You can go through them and understand the concept from there. It's nice presentations if you would like to see. Also, there are a few questions after the assignment is there. So you complete your notes, write it in a way that it is comfortable for you, and then you see whether you can see, either you can write the assignment question and do the notes, or you can just do the notes and then relate whether you're able to complete the assignment or not.